New York is currently the 5th highest milk-producing state in the country. It's big business, especially here in the North Country. But New York stands to jump in the rankings with 2 huge dairy plants now under construction. The question is, can farmers keep up with the demand for milk? That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And the Devlin Inn and Suites, Lake Placid, welcoming families, athletes, and groups to the Olympic Village, offering Adirondack mountain views and dog-friendly accommodations. TheDevlinNY.com.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Wednesday, April 23rd. First up, St. Lawrence County is considering joining a regional police team that responds to high-risk incidents. Catherine Wheeler reports.
The Tri-County Special Response Team was formed in 2015. It's made up of law enforcement agencies across the North Country, sheriff's offices in Franklin, Clinton, and Essex counties, along with local police in Ticonderoga, Saranac Lake, and Malone. Major Nicholas Leon is chief deputy in the Clinton County Sheriff's Department. He says it started out as a tactical team to respond to things like warrants that pose a threat of violence.
That has since evolved. We started managing calls for the Drug Enforcement Agency, the Border Patrol, and the state police started calling us too.
Leon says this group of specially trained officers responds to situations all around the region, and they can typically get there faster than state police can from the south. The team averages about 30 calls a year. Leon spoke at a St. Lawrence County Board of Legislators meeting last week. Sheriff Rick Engel presented the idea to lawmakers.
This is an opportunity for us to be part of something greater than what we could afford to do on our own.
Engel says for St. Lawrence County to join the Tri-County team, his office would contribute 2 officers who are already trained snipers. The team provides most of the gear. But one St. Lawrence County legislator questioned how the partnership could eat into their own work here.
What are we looking at as far as a time commitment to 2 deputies whose main function here in St. Lawrence County is road patrol?
That's legislator Joseph Lightfoot. He's a Republican who represents Oswegatchie and Morristown. Leon told Lightfoot that the officers have to go through about 200 hours of training each year, and they'll go out for each call the Tri-County team takes.
That's my concern, is coverage here in St. Lawrence County. It isn't something that's a tiebreaker where I'm going to rely solely on that. If there's a greater good, obviously, you will find I'm in favor.
Lightfoot said he's also concerned about paying for the officers' overtime to meet those requirements. But the financial cost could be balanced with the county's participation in the unit. Leon says if St. Lawrence County isn't a part of the agreement and it has to call the special response team in, the county would then have to pay for it after the fact.
This MOU eliminates that to where you get all of those people and those resources without really having to return the cost other than what you provide by manpower and equipment.
Leon says that the team has responded to calls in St. Lawrence County twice, once to assist state police and once to assist the U.S. Marshals. Democrat Nicole Terminelli of Messina called the proposal to join a no-brainer.
Certainly there'll be some upfront costs like overtime, but on the flip side of that, we get extra help on the back end without that charge back to us that we certainly need, and they will be stronger when they train together for sure.
At the meeting, county legislators gave initial approval to the idea. They'll likely cast their final vote on it at the full board meeting next month. Catherine Wheeler, North Country Public Radio in Canton.
So the big news yesterday that really jolted the dairy world was that Chobani announced and officially broke ground on a $1.2 billion plant in Oneida County. It would make New York the biggest yogurt producer in the country. As Ellen Abbott with the New York Public News Network reports, there was some competition from other states for the project.
Governor Kathy Hochul says talks began last summer with Chobani, the country's largest yogurt maker. It already has plants in Shenango County as well as Idaho. Hochul says there were other states that wanted to land what will be the largest natural food processing facility in the country. Hochul says the state sweetened the pot with some tax breaks.
I could not believe when I got the call that said, we, Chobani, will invest in New York State even more because New York is number one. Thank you so much for this decision.
Hamdi Ulukaya, founder and CEO of Chobani, noted that New York is where Chobani began, so it's a perfect place to continue the company's story.
Look at the rivers and hills, and take a picture in every corner. It's a natural heaven. Then the tradition and people just showed an example what can be done in this place, in that small town New Berlin, to become what it is. And then the educational ecosystem. You got the SUNY, Mohawk Valley Community College, and Cornell, for God's sake.
The 1.4 million square foot plant in Rome's Griffiths Business and Technology Park will be able to process more than 1 billion pounds of yogurt and other dairy products a year, and ultimately employ 1,000 people. Rome Mayor Jeffrey Lanigan says it will change his community forever.
It will be the largest development our city has seen in decades. Without question, the most significant event in Rome in a generation.
In Syracuse, I'm Ellen Abbott for the New York Public News Network.
The Chobani plant isn't the only new dairy plant upstate. A few new ones are being built or expanded. Farmers are preparing for new levels of growth. The New York Public News Network's Brian Sharp takes us to farms where there's optimism, but also unease.
On a dairy farm northeast of Leroy in Genesee County, Natasha Stein-Sutherland is trying to steer dozens of cows to the milking parlor. Her family has been farming here for 3 generations.
There were 3 farms on this road growing up. And now we're the last one that's dairy. There is a point where scale and efficiency truly do take over.
This is a mid-sized dairy farm with 1,800 cows. It had just 700 a decade ago.
So truly, we've been on an exponential growth plane ever since. We will be moving dirt this spring. We will be building a new milking parlor. The change in dairy in New York State is really rapidly happening in terms of everyone's scaling up.
Dairy is New York's largest agricultural sector, and New York is one of the top dairy-producing states in the nation. Business has been good, creating pressure and incentive for farmers to grow. While that has driven some to consolidate or shut down, others have sought to capitalize and expand, with still a lot more business coming.
The Fairlife project, Great Lakes Cheese project, there's a ice cream plant in Dunkirk, Blue Bunny, maybe.
That's John Muller, another dairy farmer.
So all this expansion created, obviously, a lot of optimism in an industry and confidence going forward that there'll be milk markets.
The second-generation Muller family farm, Willow Bend, is in Ontario County and is well-positioned for this moment. It's big, 3 farms in all with 6,000 cows, double the number it had a decade ago. They plan to put up another barn next year to bring in hundreds more.
Other dairies seem to be ramping up pretty dramatically. You see lots of dirt moved and barns being built, and cattle prices are quite high because there's quite a demand for cows to fill these barns.
These are multi-million-dollar investments, but it's not just American companies and consumers driving the growth. It's also exports, and the big 3 markets are Mexico, Canada, and China. So for dairy farmers like Muller and Stein-Sutherland, the on-again, off-again tariff talk is a concern.
Tariffs hurt us horrifically during the first Trump administration.
Then, as now, it was a trade war with China. The Trump administration blamed China back then for unjustified retaliation and ended up paying billions of dollars to farmers to offset the damage. There is talk of doing that again as milk futures prices are falling. Christopher Wolf is a professor of agricultural economics at Cornell University, and he's been watching it all.
Our farmers are feeling this directly right now because every time he makes an announcement, the market goes in the other direction, right?
So yeah, that's the worry. If those markets dip, Muller says, product backs up, prices drop.
Pile that on top of labor that we're worried about. This is anxious times, right?
The labor that they're worried about is immigrant workers, who represent roughly half the workforce. Many of those folks have been here for decades, but that doesn't mean their paperwork is in order. Stepped-up immigration enforcement has spread rumor and fear. More uncertainty for an upstate dairy market poised for growth, but at the mercy of ever-changing directives from Washington.
I'm nervous about today. I'm nervous for our industry. I'm nervous for our country.
In Rochester, I'm Brian Sharp for the New York Public News Network.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Mark Corey of Watertown and Muskox of Ottawa. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.